Hi guys, Mayflum here, and I'm really excited about this find. So it's kind of hard. Okay, I'll show it to you sideways. Okay, so it stands. It's got a little base. It's made out of wood, and it's got two little clips and two little strings here made. I'm gonna say made for photos. They're adjustable. I just picked it up at the craft store because I thought, well, that's really boring and plain, but what if I used my ScanNcut and the built-in designs in it and got some shapes going and decorated this, so then I could like put pictures of my family on here, maybe change it out seasonally, but have something kind of fun. And I think it would be absolutely beautiful in like a shabby chic, like roses and very, very pastel maybe. The thing is that won't go downstairs in my house where I have it planned. There's a lot of greens, there's palm trees outside, so I'm going to take this a more tropical direction. But you know, the part of me that wishes I could just do everything in vintage florals, thinks that would be a beautiful way to do this too. But really there's a bunch of ways. So all I'm going to need is some pattern paper. You could use any kind of material you wanted. And then I kind of sketched out right here, I only want to decorate a few set spots. So we're going to decorate those. We're going to get started by, I'm going to work one cluster at a time and use my ScanNcut to cut out some papers. And you can see here, I've got some various papers, not the blue side. I think that floral side will be good. This particular paper, I'm not too fond of that, but I figure I could cut a bunch of stuff out of there. It'll be good stuff. So I've got my papers. We're ready to rock. I'm going to start at the top here, and I'm going to start with some banners. So I picked this out of the basic patterns, and first of all, you can push this button right here and adjust your height. And as you can see, mine got very, very short and fat because it's not adjusting the width because I asked it not to. And what I love about this feature is I want to make a little banner here, but I want it to be a certain look. I want it to be 2 inches high and 0.8 wide. 0.75 would work as well. I just want that little bit of extra space, and I want 5 of them. These are going to go across the top. So in here, I'm going to space them out because I don't want them to be super close on my paper, which will make sense. If you look down here, you can see I've got kind of an ombre paper on the mat. I want it to have several different colors. I don't want very much of the yellow, so I'm going to go like so. I'll be able to scan this paper in and look. However, I'm not ready yet because I want to go in here and I want to pick some letters, lowercase. I'm going to add these one at a time so that I can move and adjust them as needed. And I'm just going to put one letter at a time. And I'm not trying to size them. I don't find it easy to size them here. I find it easier to say set. Then I will click a letter and go in here and adjust the size. So I think 0.5 is probably the width I'm going to look for. Say okay. And then I can go in, and this button I find easier when it's this tiny. I can get it centered, say okay. And then if I click elsewhere, I can see, okay, you know, maybe I need to move it up a little. If I want to double check, I can click the zoom button. Can zoom 400%. Now I can see very clearly that that's going to work fantastic. So I'll say okay, okay, and continue to add my letters. Once I have all the letters, I'm going to go ahead and go in here all the way zoomed in and just take a look at everybody and make sure everything looks good. Now I can, in this zoomed in screen, this is a great feature, I can move these letters around. If I take a look at them and decide, you know what, I really need this to be a little more to the left or a little right. Now, if I'm moving and I think, okay, well, I'm not getting it quite as precise as I want, I can go back in and move like so, and then just go back and verify, okay, did I move it the way that I would like? Yes, I'm happy with everything, okay, and all the way through, okay, and we are ready to say okay and cut. Now that these are cut out, I'm afraid they're a little too big, but I'm not sure. So here's what I'm going to do, guys, and this is something I do a lot, especially when working with my ScanNcut. If I think I miscalculated, see, I figured it was a 6-inch wide area that I wanted to work with. So I was figuring that working with 0.8 or 0.75 and not spacing them out very much pieces was going to be perfect. Now, I'm not sure, and don't touch hot glue like I am, but as it cools, I've gotten to be somewhat of a master of, as hot glue cools, kind of getting rid of the little threads and things. You don't have to use hot glue for this. I personally just prefer it. Okay, and my paper is going to be real easy to know which side is which, because the one side is really bold circles that I'm not such a fan of, and the other side is the pretty bluish color. So what I'm doing here, I just have a little piece of twine, and I'm just putting just the teeniest, tiniest smidge of hot glue down along here, and then placing pretty close together here, and then putting just a little bit on top to seal that thread in. And I'm just going to repeat this for all 5 of my banner letters here that spell out our family's last name. Luckily, my math was correct. As you can see, my finished piece is a little shorter than the 6 inches from here to here that I measured, and it's going to look great centered. It's going to be just perfect, because remember that this little guy here, this little clip, is movable. Okay, so the clip does not have to be a deciding factor. It does not have to be in our way or stop us from anything. And whatever we clip to here, okay, here's for example, just a placeholder here, we can adjust, we can do whatever we like. So we could go to the side if I wanted to. My original sketch, I was kind of thinking off to the side, or I can also go, actually I could go down more. I have a lot of options to play with here. As I play with this though, I kind of think I like it like so, especially if I move this slider over. I like this over to the side more because it gives me more room along here to play with that. And a lot of this stuff, guys, it's going to depend on what you're working with. And you can see why I put this together first. It's going to work much, much better. And I'm just getting a little hot glue on the outside edge there so that I can place my first letter. And I am going to give it a very quick swipe here to make sure if there's any exposed hot glue that I get it off. If you are not used to using hot glue, or you want to take this on with a kit, I would definitely recommend using a different adhesive and just being more patient than I am. For my purposes though, I feel like this is going to work out just fine. And actually, as I take a look at this, I could actually, if I lower it a bit, I actually think I like that a little better. So I think what I'm going to do here is just put my dollop of hot glue very carefully right there on my string and allow this to cool, because I will make a little cute little, actually I'm going to raise that up just a slight bit. So I can make myself a cute little flower or some such to go over there. So we'll hide that. But first, of course, we're going to let this dry completely. I went looking around the studio here and I found this little cork paper leaf, kind of seed pod kind of a shape. So I went ahead and put it down here. And the reason is, and you know guys, in my videos here, you see me a lot where I make something extra or have something and I say, I'll save it, maybe use it later. This is exactly what I'm talking about. This kind of stuff, you know, the ScanNcut can cut out all kinds of materials. Including this happens to be adhesive backed foam. Now, some of the pieces are kind of falling apart because cork is not the best material for more intricate patterns like this. It's better for basic things, heart stars, because the pieces of cork independently, they can kind of crack or fall apart. That's okay though, because I'm going to make some leaves to go behind this and support it. Okay, so that's the next step that I'm going to do. I'm going to grab, I have right here, actually right at the back of my desk here, I have a bunch of cardstock, and I'm just kind of looking through, and I'm going to pick a few shades of green here, a few different shades, because I don't want it to clash with the aqua or the yellow. I don't want it to be too strong, But I want it to be kind of a nice feeling. See, like that one feels pretty good to me. So we're going to go with those 4. So I am going to now get out my ScanNcut here and we'll cut some leaves. I just direct scan this piece of cardstock into my machine, and yeah, what I have on here are my lovely little leaves here, because this is something I want to show you. Now I'm going to zoom this way, way, way in. Now it didn't pick them all up. I'm going to take another look at that, see what I can do about that. However, what I wanted to show you here, and before I go and cut the 2 that did scan in well, you can use the pre-made designs in here. You can also go ahead and just scan, like here's a little stamp that I've got that's leaves, flowers, whatever shape you've got. Don't forget you can scan those in and use those for decorations for a project like this. As a reminder, you can use little stamps. Like here's a leaf stamp that I have, not just the patterns. There are great patterns, and I'm going to go in here into the leaves and flowers, and I'm not going to show it all to you here just because it's a lot. It's gonna take me probably 15-20 minutes I'll spend picking out just the right flowers and everything. So I'm not going to show you my process of picking each and every one, but in addition to picking all the flowers or leaves or any shape you want out of the pre-made designs, you can also insert your own designs into the ScanNcut. The other thing that you can do is also do a direct cut scan. Now I am going to do this in color mode. Remember that you can always rescan or scan differently if you're not happy with your results. So I'm going to go ahead and scan this in. And I'm going to go ahead and frame this up. If you're wanting even more details on all this stuff, guys, be sure to check out my ScanNcut playlist, because I have a lot of videos on all this kind of stuff. And it only takes a second to zoom in, and then you can see how it's picking up a lot. I can go down in color. Let's check it out and see how that does. Now, before I cut this out, I've covered this with you guys before, but I'm going to share it right here. So this one leaf it's all funky. It's trying to cut all the middle. All the others are fine, except that one. And playing around with it, I wasn't getting it to do anything. And by playing around with it, I mean adjusting how many colors, trying grayscale, ignoring object size. And that's when I realized this particular spot right here, and I'll zoom way in for you. So when this happens, what it's trying to do, as you can see, it sees a break in the line. It feels that these are objects. It's just picking up so much detail that it's trying to help me a little too much. If this happens to you, just take a little black pen or whatever color ink you used and close the lines a little better so that the machine doesn't do that. So that's just a little extra quick tip from me to you. As for me, what I'm going to do is I only need 2 of them anyway, so I'm going to go like so, just cut the 2 that are going really well here, like so, and then move on to picking other designs. We are almost ready to assemble. All we need to do now, and I'll bring you in here a little more, so all we need to really do now is just really focus on what we've got here, how much we want. I did some flowers already. Here they are. I just cut out a bunch of flowers out of 3 different papers. Now I'm just going in and doing leaves. And if there's a leaf that I want smaller, this is just something I've found with the ScanNcut. Sometimes it tells you it's the minimum size that you can possibly have, but that's actually far from the truth. You can get much smaller. So if you have that situation where you're trying to get something smaller and it's not telling you no, you might want to give it a try. So I have got on my mat here, I've got different colors of green cardstock. What I am going to do, I think that's enough. I don't think we need a ton of leaves. I am going to scan this in so that it will show me exactly where all my papers are. And I just have to keep this, the very important thing is that the end here never ever is going to touch anything that would cause the papers to flap up or become unstuck, shall we say. And you can see how quick and easy that is. So the great thing about this is, and I did do a palm tree because I was thinking it might work, I can now move all of my various leaves around and figure out different colors that I might want. And I'm going to say, okay, and go ahead and cut everything out, and then we can assemble. We are ready to decorate and embellish. So I've got my little spatula here, since I'm using a brand new mat, and brand new mats are super nice and sticky, especially when it's a brand new mat. I just make sure to use this under the edges. Just make sure that nothing gets torn, everything's nice. And for the palm tree, I will go ahead and just tear most of the bottom off, because my concept here is that I'm going to use it as a leaf layer. I'm actually thinking at the top here. Okay, so if needed, I can cut off even more. I don't think I'm going to need to though, because I think I'm going to stick it in like so. And I will be applying hot glue again. To me, this kind of a home decor project, hot glue often is your best friend. And the reason it would be your best friend would be because you're going to be able to do a lot of stuff with the hot glue. In other words, you're going to be able to work quickly. You're going to know that things are secure. And for a home decor project like this, you know, I really don't want to sit here and try to wait on the glue to dry for an hour or whatever. I want to keep moving. I want to add pictures. I want to put it up on display. So you can see here, I've got all different things. So my plan was go big there, and then something small here, probably a flower. And I've got my various flowers here as well. So I think actually, I'm surprising myself, but I think a bigger flower is going to go here. Now I'm putting the glue on the surface, and the reason I'm putting the glue on the surface itself is, you know what I am going to layer? I'm going to do this because I want to make sure that the glue is somewhere where it's going to stick. In other words, I would not want to put hot glue somewhere that it's just going to be dripping off the side or something to that effect. So I have my little dish of buttons and things here, one of many of them. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little pink button in the middle right here. Just gently set that there. Let that all soak in and set. I don't want to put pressure or press on anything. And one of the great things about working with double-sided pattern paper is that I can use both sides. I can play around with this, and I am going to go ahead. This time I am going to put it on the back side because I can see that almost the entire surface here is going to work. Oh yeah, I like that. And again, tiny dots of glue. When I get onto the paper layers here, I am adding hot glue. However, for papers like this, I actually think you could do just fine, and that's too big, so I need to quickly find myself a smaller button. You could actually do just fine with a liquid adhesive or a double-sided tape or some such, and I'm sorry that was out of frame, but you can see him sticking that down way up here. Sorry about that. This project is so long. It's so long, it would want to be filmed in the other direction, except if I filmed in the other direction, it would look really funky. Okay, so then we're back to this guy, and as you recall, I said I was going to try to kind of support it a bit, because the cork is really delicate and a little difficult to work with. So I'm going to go ahead, the cork is adhesive backed, so I'm going to go ahead and stick that leaf like way out there, looking all crazy and random, because I'm going to put one of these bigger flowers down, and I'm going to go ahead and fold my leaves a bit, and I see where I want it, so I'm going to put my dollop of glue on the project and go like so, which will, and remember, light fingers and quick fingers. When we're working with this stuff, light fingers and quick fingers. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm also thinking I'll put this little flower in here, just a little bit, and a little bit on both sides, because I can see that for this it's going to need to be both of them. There we go. This project, I tell you, has taken a lot longer than I anticipated, but it's okay. It's good, in fact. There's just so much fun detail that I can add in here, and I'm looking up here right now. Okay, so just to show you where we're at, I'm just about done. All I'm doing now is two things. Number one, if I see a spot where I feel like, I would like a little more something there, well, we're getting out the glue, we're adding stuff. Okay, so the top I feel pretty well and done. And then what I've now done, I've got some buttons added way down here at the bottom. I added a little bit of liquid adhesive just so I could get some beads and sequins in, things that would show hot glue. I don't want hot glue showing. So got all of that done. And now as like a last little step here, I'm securing the twine that I used up top for my banner. I'm securing it down here. This one I've secured over here. This one I put right here, and I'm just gonna place a small little green button on top of that hot glue lump. I love using buttons on projects like this to disguise what I'm actually doing. So like in this case, using my buttons to disguise, say, something a little less than pretty. I was gonna put more stuff in here, and then I decided not to, except right here I do want this one little flower that I've got going. I don't want to put a lot of stuff inside because I want flexibility. My whole idea, the whole reason I purchased this, besides the fact that it was on sale, was so that I could have a place where I could put different photos, different things, you know, as different pictures get developed or as different events happen for us. I wanted a place that I could mix and match and put a number of different things in. So I really didn't want to do a whole lot in the middle space. I wanted to leave that pretty flexible. And the way I've got it now, this could actually, I could do a photo, you know, I could do a portrait oriented photo or landscape oriented photo. I've got a lot of options here, and that's definitely how I want it, because I'm thinking this is just going to be so cute. This is going to be so much fun. It's such a cute little piece. And I thought about, I have little acrylic, like little acrylic cameras and stuff I thought about adding, but I really don't need it. The shapes that I got off the ScanNcut are fantastic. I love how this turned out. I'll share a picture with you there on YouTube. If you've got any questions, feel free to let me know. I will see you next time. I wish you very happy crafting.